Hello and welcome to MTTV's In the Kitchen. Today we're going to be focusing our energy on preparing food that's perfect for a picnic or a reunion. And one of the first things that I always remember about a reunion is what we had for dessert. So today we're going to prepare a pecan pie. And this pie is so easy. If you have never baked a pie or anything in your life, this is so easy that anybody could do it. And this is actually a recipe that you can even, one of the first recipes you could use to make with your children. It's just that easy. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to preheat our oven to 350 degrees. All right. And now we're going to prepare the filling for our pie. And that starts with 3 eggs. And sometimes, you see right there, there's a little shell. If you just take the shell part, you can just scoop that right out really easy. All right. So now that we've got that, to that, we're going to add a half cup of just regular granulated sugar. And then we're just going to mix our eggs and our sugar together and get them well combined. All right, that looks good. So next thing we're going to add is a cup of dark brown or dark corn syrup. And we're going to just add that in. We're going to add in a whole cup. And we're going to make sure we get all that luscious dark corn syrup out of there. All right. Get some more stuff here out of the way. And we're going to get that mixed in, our egg mixture. And as you can see, nothing real hard about this recipe at all. Even if you've never baked before, if you know how to turn on an oven and get your little bowl and a little whisk, I mean, that's all there is to this recipe pretty much. All right, next thing we're going to add is a teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. None of this stuff you buy at a discount store for $1. This right here is the good stuff. Spend a little money on it, and trust me, I promise you, you'll never buy that cheap stuff again. And to that, we're going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. Now the cinnamon could totally be optional. I add it because it adds just a little bit of underlying flavor to the pie. If you have an allergy against cinnamon, you could totally omit that, and it's perfectly fine. But what we're doing here is just kind of adding layers of flavor. All right. Now we've got that all mixed in. So now right here I've got a cup of pecans, and just so we can make a little design, I'm going to pick out maybe 8 or 9 of the best pecans out of this cup that we have here. And we're going to make a little design in it. And of course, you don't have to do that at all. You can just do it however you want to. But I want to do a little design because I think it's just kind of pretty in the end. So we'll lay them aside and then get you a good knife. And just kind of holding on to the tip of the knife, we're just going to roughly chop our pecans. We're not going for sawdust or anything by any means. We're just doing a rough chop on the remainder of our pecans here, because I like to taste pretty good sized pecans when I eat pecan pie, but if you like them chopped a little finer than I'm doing them right here, you feel free to do it however you want to. But I like mine just kind of a rough chop. All right. You kind of just look around, you'll see a piece or two that maybe needs to be chopped a little more fine. All right. So there we go. So now I'm going to get out my pie crust. Just took it out of the freezer. You don't have to pre-bake this or anything. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our pecan pieces and we're just going to put them in our pie. Now I went with a regular shell, pie shell, because you can buy regular and you can also buy the deep shell. Either one you want is fine. This filling will fit in the regular shell, but if all you have on hand is a deep shell pie crust, that's perfectly fine, just to have a little bit more crust to eat. And if you're like me, that's fine too. All right, just kind of move that out of the way here. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is just kind of re-whisk our mixture, and we're just going to pour it right in, just like so. And you can see that fills that right up. Now, with our extra pieces here, we're just going to kind of make a design, and I'm just going to kind of push them right down in, and then just kind of go around the center here. But you kind of want the filling to cover them, just kind of push them in, and they're going to come right back to the top. But this will make the prettiest little design. I'll put one here in the center. Just like that. And right down here at the bottom. Just kind of, and like I said, you want, they'll resurface, but you can kind of rearrange. Just kind of play with your fingers in there. So I have got a parchment lined sheet pan here that I'm going to use to put my pie on. Slide that over real easy and very carefully. Place that on our sheet pan. And we're going to bake this at 350 degrees for 55 minutes exactly. And then we'll take it out of the oven and let it cool to room temperature, and it'll be ready to eat. The next thing that we're going to prepare is a wonderful hash brown casserole. And who doesn't like a cheesy, potatoey casserole? So when we come right back, we'll be ready to start that. All right, now we're going to get started on our hash brown casserole. I got my daughter here with me in the kitchen today, and she's going to help me with this recipe. You know, this show is all about reunions and picnics, and you know, you should really take the time, and it doesn't matter how old you are. If you're really young, even if you're the older generation, you need to take time out and spend some time with your family. Spend time cooking in the kitchen with them, or just going out on a picnic with them. Going to family reunions. You know, a lot of people don't go to family reunions anymore. They don't really connect with their family at all, and you know, that's really important. So she's going to help me here in the kitchen today, and we're going to make a wonderful hash brown casserole. And we're going to go to the point where we'll get it fixed up and put in our casserole dish, and then we'll put our topping on it before it goes into the oven. So the first thing we're going to do is we got our bowl here, and we're going to put in a 32-ounce bag of hash browns, and this is the diced hash browns. Just fill that on up, honey. There you go. That looks good. All right. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in an 8-ounce container of sour cream. So Zoe, if you'll take that spoon there and just dump every bit of that in there. Now, if we're starting out with potatoes and sour cream, you already know it's going to be good. All right, that's good. Now, Zoe, if you'll take that, we got a can of cream of chicken soup. Again, we're, putting layers of flavor in here, so go ahead and add that can of soup there. Just be real careful about the edges there. It could be sharp. All right. That looks good. Okay, you can go ahead and discard that. Now, to that, I'm going to add a half a cup of just diced onions. And then we're going to start out here, we're going to put in 3/4 of a stick of butter. And we're going to add a little bit of cheese. Zoe, help me with this cheese a little bit. We've just about got a bowl that's almost too small. Just one more handful of cheese there. All right, so let me slide over here, honey. Just take that out. Just lay that there to the side. And then we're going to just kind of slowly work this into our potatoes. Like I said, I think we've just about got a bowl too small. But that's all right. We'll make it work. So we're just going to work all this sour cream and cream of chicken in there. Get that all stirred in real good. I mean, when you start out with potatoes and sour cream and cheese, it's some of mine's always favorite things, isn't it, honey? So tell them what grade you're going to be in this year.
5th.
5th grade. My baby's growing up on me. She does really good in school, and she loves school. All right. Slowly but surely, I'm getting that integrated in. I tell you what, there ain't nothing better. And you can eat this for dinner, breakfast, it doesn't matter. Hash brown casserole's good any time of the day. And this one here is tongue slap your brains out good. I'm just here to tell you. Some people, they've asked me, from watching the show, they've asked me where I come up with that slogan. It's actually nothing I come up with. My grandmother Thelma used to say that all the time. She did that she'd take a bite of something, and it didn't matter what she was eating. It was the best thing that she ever ate, and if you ate right behind her, it was. She could make a bologna sandwich sound fantastic. She had a knack for that. And I tell you what, when we went to reunions, we couldn't wait to see. Of course, all the Bradley family, which is the reunions we always went to, every one of them could cook, and I'm telling you, reunion times are special. We have a reunion coming up every September that we go to, and I'm telling you, it's just really special time for families to get together, and we try to go as often as we can. Sometimes our schedules don't permit it, but we do try to go as often as we can. So, all right, we've got this mixed up just about as good as we can in this bowl. So I'm going to pour this into a casserole dish. And I tell you one thing you could add, and I'm not adding it today, but if you had a little bit of bacon, you could crumble up some bacon in there. Even if you had some bacon bits, that would be really good too. All right, get that all in there. I've got this all over me, but that's all right. It's all right to be messy in the kitchen, isn't it, honey? And Daddy's messy all the time, but that's all right. We'll get her cleaned up. All right. So we're going to take some more of our cheese here. So we get you just a little handful. We're kind of going to spread that on top because, you know, you can't make stuff too cheesy around here, can you, honey? All right. Let's see. Get just a little bit more of that cheese. And we've used probably about 1.5 cups of cheese here. All right, I think that looks perfect. So we're going to clear the decks here, and then we're going to prepare our cornflake topping to go on our casserole, and then we'll be ready to put it in the oven. All right, so now we're going to get prepared for our topping. And what I've got here is 2 cups of just regular cornflakes. And to that, we're going to add 1/4 of a stick of melted butter. Kind of just going to get that all over the place there. All right. Get our top on here. All right. Yes, that looks great. Get that out of the way. Zoe, I'm going to let you just take your spoon here. You can see how that, of course I'm spilling it all over the place, but we can get this right down here. And then you can just spread it over the top there. Not so much, just a little tiny. So we can get that spread out over the top. All right, just a little there, okay. Right here. Let me take this and kind of spread that around a little bit. And that's going to give us a really nice, crunchy topping. And I like using every last bit of this cornflake mixture. Now, if you'll remember in school, they used to have cornflake toppings on some things, and you've probably been to some reunions and picnics, and you've probably even seen fried chicken and stuff done with the cornflake topping. So, and that can be really good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this beautiful casserole. So if you'll get the oven door. All right, and you can see in there we've got our pecan pie bubbling right up. We'll slide our casserole dish in there, and we're going to bake that up at 350. We're going to check on it after about 35 minutes and see where we're at with that. And you'll notice our pecan pie, and while we've got this open, if we can get a good shot of this, you can see that it's starting to rise up. And that's totally normal. Nothing to worry about. And it'll actually get a little bit taller as it goes. After that's been in there for about a half hour, we're going to add a little pie ring around it to keep our edges from burning. And we'll do that here in the next few minutes. That's looking really good. So now we're going to get ready. We're going to get everything cleaned up. We're going to get ready for some wonderful fried chicken. And I'm going to give you the best recipe ever to prepare your breaded chicken. So stay tuned. All right, we've got a pecan pie that is ready to come out of this oven. And I'm telling you what, I wish y'all had smell-o-vision, because this kitchen is about to starve me to death. As you can see, that's raised up just like I said it would. But after it cools down, and we're going to let this come to room temperature actually before we eat it. But after this cools down, that filling's going to sink back down a little bit, and it'll be just fine. So when we come back, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get ready to make our fried chicken. And I'm telling you, tongues will sap your brains out when you try this recipe. So stay tuned. All right, we're going to get started on our fried chicken. And this is buttermilk fried chicken. And you know, when I think of a picnic or reunion, I mean, you just can't even think of one without a delicious piece of fried chicken. I know that's the first thing that I go to seek out when I arrive. and they say dinner's ready. So this is a very simple recipe, really. I've got 2.5 cups of self-rising flour here, and to that I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt, just for a little bit extra flavor. Of course, self-rising flour already has the salt in it, but might add just a touch more for our chicken, because we want to make sure it's well seasoned. I've got a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. I've got a teaspoon of the California style garlic powder, and it's got just a few little more herbs in it, just a little bit better garlic powder. I've got a teaspoon of onion powder that I'm going to add in. I've got a teaspoon of paprika, which is going to allow us to get a little bit of color. And then I got a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Now you can just suit that to your taste, whatever you like. And then I'm just going to take a little whisk here, and if you ain't got a whisk, you can use a fork, whatever you got. Just kind of combine our flour and our seasoning. Now this isn't 16 herbs and spices like the Colonel has, but I'm telling you, it's going to taste like probably a little bit better in my opinion. All right, so you can see we've got that really well mixed. Now, about an hour ago, I took out my chicken, and we're going to fry up a couple pieces of breast meat. But now, there is enough mixture here. If you've got a whole chicken that you're cutting up at home, there's enough bread in here for a whole chicken. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're doing this recipe. I've got a couple of chicken breasts, and I use the boneless, skinless kind because we want to eat healthy when we're frying chicken, you know. And I've had this in a buttermilk bath, and basically you just take a dish just like I've got here. You want to fill it with buttermilk just so it covers the chicken. And what the buttermilk is going to do, it's going to help our chicken to become really tender and a little bit moist. So basically, and this is so easy, we're going to take our chicken. I'm going to kind of move this over a little bit. We're going to take our chicken pieces right over there, get that out of the way. Of course, we've got our buttermilk. We're going to bread our chicken just like so. And I'm going to show you a little tip so you can see we've kind of got all that good flour mixture, that good seasoned flour all together. Now, if you want to make this just a little bit extra crunchy, you just re-dip it back in your buttermilk just like so. And then you go back in your flour mixture just like this. And get it good and coated. And then we're going to lay that here to the side on our sheet pan we've got lined with parchment paper. And you can see how much more flour that picked up. Talk about a crunchy piece of chicken. So we're going to do the same thing with our next breast here. Get it all good and floured up. Alright, and we may as well double dip this one too, because who doesn't like a little bit of extra crunch? Because I know I love it. Alright. I want you to look there. Those are going to be some good old crusty pieces of chicken. So I'm going to get my fingertips cleaned up here and clear the decks, and then we're going to get ready to fry our chicken. We're going to take our hash brown casserole out, and I'm telling you what, I wish you all could smell this right now. Oh, it smells so good. You can just hear that bubbling up. Gosh, I could just eat that right now. So what we're going to do now is we've got our oil ready. You want your oil about 350 degrees. We're going to put our chicken in there. And I'm using tongs because it just seems like it's so much easier. You want about 1.5 inches of oil. in your skillet. You want enough to just cover your breast up. And that's going to fry right up. And I estimate frying chicken, depending on how thick it is, usually 6 to 10 minutes on each side. And then it should be done. Of course, it'll be golden brown. These are really thin breast slices, so probably around 6 to 8 minutes per side should do fine. So as you can see, we've got them frying right up, and they're floating in there, and all that good crusty breading we've got on there is going to fry right up. And you can just smell that. And I'm using vegetable oil. Another good oil that you can use to fry chicken in is peanut oil. And a lot of people even deep fry turkeys and stuff like that. So we're going to continue frying our chicken here, and we'll turn it one more time after it's fried up about, like I said, 6 to 8 minutes. We'll turn it. Let it fry up a little more until it's really good and golden brown, and then we'll be ready to eat some really good food. We'll have pecan pie, we'll have our hash brown casserole, and this chicken. And I tell you what, I'm going to have to put me on a pair of sweatpants before I leave this place today. So just stay tuned. All right. We've got this chicken. I'm here to tell you, that stuff, my mouth is just watered since I put it in. All right, so you can see how crunchy our crust looks. Gosh, that just looks so good. We're going to let this rest, and you see that I've got it on a cooling rack, which I've got a sheet of parchment paper under it to catch the grease. A lot of times people take chicken out of a deep fryer and put it on paper towels to drain it. But if you leave that laying there very long on the paper towels, what that does, it'll make the underneath side of the chicken a little bit soggy. So if you put it on a cooling rack on a sheet pan just like this, it allows all that to dry off, and it'll still stay crunchy on all sides. So we're going to let this cool for just a little bit. And then when we come back, we'll put everything together and we'll be ready to eat. Y'all, I can't stand myself. Look at our beautiful pecan pie. That is beautiful. And you can actually refrigerate this for up to a day prior to eating it. So after you let it come to room temperature, you can refrigerate it. I'm going to cut in here to this. And because I'm not bashful, I'm going to get me a big old piece of pie because, you know, that's what you do at reunions, you know, fend for yourself. Let's see if I can get this out of here without destroying it. Oh well. That's all right. We'll get what we can out of here and just go right on with it. Gosh, that looks so good. Won't you just take a look at that filling? And of course, these big old pecans. People, if you think I'm going to stop eating it in just one little piece, you're wrong. That is fantastic. So now I'm going to dip out a little helping of our hash brown casserole. I want you to look at that cheese, that stringy cheese. Gosh, doesn't that look good? Take me a big old bite of this too. Just kind of. That is so good. You get a little bit of that crunch from that topping. It's cheesy. You got the Taste a hint of that sour cream in there. Zoe, come on over here. Zoe helped me cook today. I'm going to let her. She loves chicken. So I'm going to cut into this chicken breast here. Don't that look good? So there's you a piece. Blow on it just a little bit because it's hot. That's some good stuff. You can taste the spices in that breading. That is so good. And I tell you, reunions or picnics are some of the best times you can have with your family. There was one time, and actually not one, more than once, several times, we would go to our Bradley family reunion, and your papa and your Uncle Dorn would leave our reunion and walk across the parking lot to the Gully reunion. And they'd go every year, and the Gullies actually thought they were family. And they'd go right up and just hug on everybody and love on them. And they'd eat with them because ours wasn't until 12, and they'd start eating around 11. So they'd eat there, and then they'd sneak back over to our reunion and eat at ours. Funniest thing ever. You can imagine your papa doing that. But that was just some of the fun times that we've always had at our reunions, and family is so special. So make sure you take time out with your family, even if it's just once a year. Spend the whole day with them, reminisce with them, because in the end, all you have is family. So it's been a pleasure cooking this food for you today, and I hope you'll try these recipes. And our recipes will be available via our website at mrtc.com. Just click the TV link and it'll take you right to it. And we'll also post it on our Facebook page, Mountain Rule Telephone. So with my little sous chef Zoe, I'm David Bradley, and many thanks to you for tuning in.